Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a seriously profound and deeply philosophical text. We are unpacking a book called The Origin of Love by Ryuho Okawa. Our goal here is to neutrally map out the really fascinating spiritual architecture presented in this work, paying special attention to the core lectures from Chapter 2. We're going to look at how the author constructs this whole framework around human connection, our existence, and the ultimate purpose of the soul.
But before we get too deep into the philosophical weeds, let's just stop and ask a really fundamental question the text poses. Why do we instinctively love? I mean, really think about it. From the second we're born, why do we feel this undeniable, deep-seated urge to connect with people and care for them? The author suggests that this isn't just some learned behavior. Instead, it's something we accept a priori. Basically, it's this deeply ingrained prior knowledge that loving and being loved is just the absolute right way to exist.
And that brings us to our source material for today. This is the Japanese cover of The Origin of Love, or Ai no Genten. Throughout this explainer, we'll be objectively breaking down the concepts presented in the book's second chapter, which was originally a foundational lecture series. We're going to see exactly how the text defines love, why human beings experience conflict, and ultimately what all of this means for our own personal growth. Okay, let's jump right in. Here's our roadmap for today. First, the definition of love. Second, the mirror of others. Third, the ultimate life energy. Fourth, overcoming good and evil. And finally, the radiance of the soul.
Section 1. The definition of love.
When we casually throw around the word love in everyday conversation, we're usually talking about romance or family affection, right? But according to this author, love operates on a massive cosmic level. It's actually defined as a profound inherited memory. The text posits that human beings originally split from a single divine source, something often referred to as a mother entity. So as we go about our lives as all these diverse individuals, love is actually the surfacing of a nostalgic longing to return to that original oneness. When you feel that intense magnetic pull toward another person, the text argues it's literally your soul remembering its ancient connection to the single source we all used to share. Moving right along to Section 2, the mirror of others. So, if the ultimate goal here is our own individual soul's growth, why do we even have to deal with other people? The author answers this using a pretty brilliant analogy: Robinson Crusoe. Imagine you're stranded totally alone on a deserted island. You might figure out how to survive, sure, but how would you ever know if you were actually improving as a person? In total isolation, it's virtually impossible to evaluate yourself. There's no one around to hold you accountable. The text points out that we absolutely need the words, the gazes, and the attitudes of others to confirm our own growth. It's the friction, the challenges, and the love from other people that provide the exact resistance our souls need to evolve. The big takeaway here is that others act as a mirror for us. According to the text, love is essentially to love, nurture, and forgive others, because we can only evaluate and improve ourselves through their existence. And honestly, this is where the philosophy gets pretty challenging. The text argues that this applies even when other people hurt you. Because everyone shares that exact same original root we talked about, the conflicts we go through are actually vital tools for polishing our souls. Acknowledging someone else's existence, even when they cause us frustration or pain, is in itself an act of love, and a totally necessary step for our upward progression.
Section 3. The ultimate life energy.
Up until now, we've been talking about love in terms of human relationships, but the text makes this fascinating pivot into the physical world. The author asks us to look at the green, the meat, and the vegetables we eat every single day. Have you ever wondered why tomatoes and apples are so delicious, or why fish tastes so good to us? The author argues that this isn't just some random biological coincidence. Instead, these foods are delicious by design. The life energy we receive daily from plants and animals is framed as a literal manifestation of the energy of love that actively wishes to serve others. They are sacrificing their physical forms to give us the energy we need to live. And the author sums up this physical manifestation with a pretty thought-provoking question. This power that nurtures eternal life, isn't this the power of God's love? The text suggests that the simple fact that our life force is continuously replenished by the natural world day in and day out is basically undeniable proof of a universal divine love that is actively sustaining us. Section 4. Overcoming good and evil. Now, you might be wondering, if the universe is just overflowing with all this life-sustaining love, why is there so much terrible conflict in the world? Well, the text identifies some very specific hindrances to love. Primarily, it argues that humans suffer from this illusion that life is finite, that our physical existence is all there is. When we believe our time and resources are strictly limited, it breeds massive selfishness. According to the author, what really hinders love are negative emotions, like complaints and anger that deny eternal life. Instead of wanting to elevate other people, this finite mindset causes us to try and control others or drag them down just to secure our own position. This leads to what the text calls the illusion of dualism. The author brings a pretty bold perspective to the classic struggle between good and evil, or heaven and hell. In this philosophy, the conflict between good and evil isn't necessarily about ultimate cosmic absolutes. Instead, it arises purely from humanity's profound lack of mutual understanding. When people fail to see the shared divine root in each other, they build these artificial walls, labeling themselves as good and whoever's on the other side as evil. So how do we fix this? The text proposes learning what it calls divine truth, or Shinri. Divine truth is presented as a shared, fundamental understanding of our spiritual origins. By learning this truth and making the effort to deeply understand each other's hearts, humans can finally break down those walls separating the self from others. So overcoming the conflict of good versus evil isn't about one side finally defeating the other, it's about transcending the division altogether through mutual understanding. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5. Radiance of the soul. So, what is the ultimate end state we are all striving for here? The author uses a really powerful visual metaphor, the soul as a diamond. Now think about a diamond. It doesn't sparkle brilliantly if it's just a rough, jagged stone out of the earth. If it's cracked or unevenly cut, it's going to cast dark shadows. For a diamond to truly radiate light, it has to be meticulously polished with symmetrical, perfectly balanced facets. The text argues that our souls require this exact same kind of balanced polishing. And the text actually outlines what these facets are. They are the diverse attributes of God. To create a beautifully radiant soul, you can't just obsess over one single thing. You have to take in love, wisdom, courage, light, reason, justice, and compassion. The key here is that you must integrate all of these qualities into yourself evenly and in a well-balanced manner. Think about it. If you only have courage but zero compassion, your diamond is jagged. If you have love but absolutely no reason, your light casts a shadow. Taking these various qualities of God into oneself in a perfectly balanced way is precisely what allows the soul to shine. It all culminates in this absolutely beautiful summary statement from the text. The beautiful radiance of the soul is indeed the origin of love. Ultimately, this entire journey, from nostalgically longing to reunite with the source, to enduring the everyday friction of human relationships, to overcoming our selfish anger and dualisms, it's all designed to perfectly cut the diamond of our soul, allowing it to shine its absolute brightest. We've covered a ton of deep spiritual ground today, translating some pretty dense philosophical concepts into a structured framework. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something highly practical to apply to your own life. Looking at those attributes we just talked about, love, wisdom, courage, reason, justice, compassion, ask yourself, which facet of your diamond are you polishing today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.